Hi everybody, Maria Papadakis here at BMO Club at BMO Field. We are here for the press conference of Captain Michael Bradley as he has signed a new contract on TAM, targeted allocation money. We are getting set to hear from the captain himself and President Bill Manning here at BMO Field. Stay tuned with us as the press conference will begin in a short few minutes.
Hi, thank you everyone for coming. I prepared a statement, which usually isn't my style, but with Michael re-signing, I think it was very important to capture all my thoughts. 6 years ago, Michael made a long-term commitment to this club and to the city of Toronto, and he signed with a team that at that point had never made the playoffs. There was a picture online that I found of Tim Lewicki, Jermaine Defoe, Michael Bradley, Ryan Nelson, and Tim Bezbachenko, and it says something that Michael Bradley is the only one here today and is continuing with TFC. He came with an idea that this club could capture the heart of this city and could win championships, and boy, we have. During his time here, Michael has lifted 8 trophies, 3 Canadian championships, 3 Eastern Conference championships, Supporter Shield, and the 2017 MLS Cup. He has been an Iron Man. He's been our 3rd player to play in 200 games. His 200th game was in Seattle a little less than a month ago. In those 200 games, he played the full time, all but 6 times. He's played every single minute of every single playoff game in our history. Certainly a testament to the player he is. More than anything, Michael, his lovely wife Amanda, their children Luca and Quinn have fallen in love with this city, and we couldn't be happier to know that they will continue to call Toronto their home. His commitment to our club is second to none. He sets the tone every day. He is our engine, I like to say, and he loves to compete, and that's what I love about Michael. We're proud to call him our captain. We're thrilled that he is continuing with Toronto FC. I turn it over to Michael Bradley.
Wow. For somebody who doesn't like talking a ton about himself, this is something. First off, I'd just like to take the opportunity to thank Mr. Tannenbaum, the board at MLSE, Bill, Ali, Greg, everybody at MLSE and TFC who have given me an incredible amount of support for the last 6 years. The way that they have treated me and my family from the first day that we landed here in Toronto has been incredible. And I'd like to thank them all for the opportunity to be able to continue to play for this club and represent this city. When I got here 6 years ago, I talked about how excited and how motivated, how determined I was for this challenge. And I hope that I've lived up my end of the bargain up until now. But I'll say this isn't just me signing another contract to hopefully finish my playing career here in Toronto and enjoy the last few years. No chance. If the last 6 years were Act 1, then I am every bit as committed and determined to make sure that over the next handful of years we can, all together make Act 2 even better. So thank you.
Michael, Neil Davidson from the Canadian Press. Congratulations on the new deal. Pro athletes have a short career, so one can understand why they want to maximize their earning potential during that time. Did you have offers from elsewhere, and why you seems like you've taken a hometown discount to stay here? Why did you choose to pass up on perhaps earnings elsewhere?
Yeah, look, it's normal that when you are nearing the end of a contract, you put yourself through the ringer a little bit. You know, you take the time to really think and to talk to the people close to you, and really think about where you are in your life, in your career, what you've done, what you want to still do, and it's important to have moments like that where you're able to give yourself real perspective, to look inside, to see again where you've been, but where you hope to go. And obviously, again, when you're the way professional sports work, when you're nearing the end of a contract, sure, it's part of the exercise to look around, to see what else is out there, to talk through different scenarios. But in the end, I kept coming back to the same thing, which is given how long I've been here, given the experiences that I've been able to, given the experiences that I've had over the last 6 years, playing here, winning here, it means more. It's pretty simple, the success, the highs are higher and the lows are lower. But when when you spill your heart and your soul into something every single day, the emotion of that part is so special. And so, for me, my family, what the club, what the city means to us, in the end, it was this was the only place I wanted to be.
Yeah, Michael, Steve Buffery, Toronto Sun. You mentioned that you'd like to finish your career here. You've said that before. Given that, can you sort of tell us what the term is, how many years you've signed on for?
3 years. So I'll be here for sure for 3 years. And then look, we'll see. I've said to you guys on a number of occasions, I love to play. I love to train. I love to compete. I think the way that I live my life, the way that I take care of myself, my best years are still in front of me. And so it was important for me, and I think important for the club as well to have to know that for each other, this wasn't to kind of renew the commitment to each other and make sure that it's one that is gonna be long term. And so I couldn't be more excited from that standpoint.
Michael, Joshua Clough from The Athletic, congrats on the new deal. This news comes the day after Kawhi Leonard comes back to Toronto, and this is a city that has sometimes had difficulty keeping its stars in the city. I'm curious, you and your family have fallen in love with the city. What is it about Toronto that really speaks to you and your family as a place that you want to spend the rest of your career here?
I mean, look, the first part is the part that most directly affects me and us every single day, and it's the club. It's the quality of people at the club. I mean, going into the BMO training ground every day. Obviously, the facilities themselves are amazing, but there are so many good people in that building. I mean, even over the last few weeks, as this season has winded down, I mean, look, there's still a handful of us that are in every single day, and yeah, we want to keep fit, but we enjoy the routine and we enjoy the environment. We enjoy the surroundings. We enjoy the people. We enjoy each other, and so that part makes it fun. Obviously, when you look at Toronto as a whole, what a sports city. I mean, the way that the city supports its teams, supports its players. there's such a pride in players and teams that can represent the city in the right way. And so that part has been incredible to be a part of. And then when you look at Toronto in a bigger sense, I think on a personal level, it reminds our family a lot of different places that we've lived in. Obviously, being from New Jersey, North Jersey, just outside of New York City, I think there's a lot of we can feel a lot of similarities there. I spent a number of years in Chicago growing up. Certainly some similarities in terms of being set on the lake and the size of the city, and obviously there's real there's diversity, but there's European influence, and obviously the 9 years that I spent in Europe, that certainly makes us feel at home, and look, not to turn any of this into a political discussion, but when you look at Toronto, when you look at Canada, the diversity, the tolerance, the how progressive the city and the country is. When you talk about a place to live, when you talk about a place to raise your family, we're proud to live here, and we're proud to call this city home.
Michael back here. Jamie Goodfriend with CP24. Similar to my colleague's question, when it comes to Toronto and playing up here in Canada, there's been examples from other athletes who've been maybe a little reluctant to come up to Canada and Toronto to play for one of our professional sports teams. I was wondering if you can maybe break down some of the misconceptions for other athletes who've been on the fence about coming up to Canada and playing for, whether it's TFC, if it's the Blue Jays. What are some of the misconceptions about playing for a Canadian professional sports team?
I don't even know what the misconceptions are, honestly.
Other than the weather.
I mean, look, I grew up in New Jersey. It's cold in the winter. You need a jacket. We call it a hat. You call it a toque. It's the same thing.
Maybe you can elaborate when we come to the quality of from the club, from the facilities, from the staff, the management.
Yeah, absolutely.
The passion from the fans. Absolutely,
and just so I certainly understand there is a misconception. It's just when I say that, it's so hard for me to relate to that in any way, because the city, the club that I've come to, MLSE as an organization, it's incredible in every way. I mean, the resources, the willingness to do everything possible to put its teams and its athletes in a position to succeed. Again, just from a family standpoint, the way that we get taken care of. My wife, my kids. It's a family club. It's an MLSE is an organization that places such a premium on having good people with character, with morals. I mean, it's that part is impressive. And then to touch on what I mentioned earlier, the sports atmosphere in the city is incredible. I mean, I've not seen anything like it, and I've lived and been around in different places. I mean, when you look at the reception that Kawhi gets last night when he comes back, when you look at the support that we consistently get, that we've gotten in some of our biggest moments in playoffs and MLS Cups, the excitement around the Leafs and the Raptors and the Jays. I mean, it's that part is so unique. I mean, I can remember at one point when Seba was still around. At some point fairly early on, it might have been the first year or two that we were in the play. It might have been in 2016 when obviously we were able to go on a good run through into the playoffs and really started to understand what the atmosphere and what the support and what this city could be like when we got things going. I remember at one point he kind of looked at me and his English wasn't perfect at that point, but he looked at me and he goes like, this is unbelievable. He said if Toronto had a lawn bowling team and they made the playoffs, this city would be on fire. And the point is spot on. I mean, look, that we're so lucky in that we have our TFC fans. We have our our day one diehard fans behind the goal who are there, every single day, who, they were the club, in the early years, and they've always been there. But the part about the way the city embraces the team when things really get going, the way that part all comes together, that part is special.
Michael, from your perspective, when you sign this deal, we've been told obviously that it's a TAM contract. You were a designated player. Now the fact that you signed a TAM deal, which gives this team an open DP slot, and I guess they can use that to sign another, high-quality player. From your perspective, was that part of the equation when you signed this deal, or was it hard to wrap your head around the fact that you weren't going to be a DP on this team anymore?
No, that was a big part of that was a big drawing point. That was a big advantage for me. The idea that the club now is in a position where they can go and get a really, really good player, and not have to worry about the salary cap, not have to worry about some of the other restrictions that exist. That part is so exciting. I mean, look, I think we had a good team last year. The second half of the season, the way things came together, the mentality of the group, the way that we were able to, improve week in and week out. That part was at a really high level. But now when you think about the possibility of adding, another DP, a guy who can come in and really, really help push us to a new level. Hopefully there's the ability, to still add another guy or two for again, fresh blood, competition. I think that part is really exciting. Listen, I want to win. I want to play in more finals. I want to hold up more trophies. I want to play in this stadium on more big nights. And so, listen, to do that, you need as many good players as possible. And so this gives us the possibility to do that now.
You've said to me before, Michael, that when you came here in 2014, you were kind of tasked with doing everything in the midfield, right? Playing in the back and playing up top. There's a young crop of midfielders coming up within the club, Liam Fraser, Noble Okello. Do you foresee your role changing at all in the future? And if so, how?
For the moment, no. For the moment, nothing will change in that. My responsibility is to come every single day ready to train, ready to work, ready to lead, ready to try to, give everything I have to help, help move the group forward. Part of the responsibility when you're an older player, when you're an experienced player, is to make sure that you find the right ways with the young players. And obviously we're we're lucky at this club that there's a lot of talented young guys. You know, you mentioned Liam, you mentioned Noble. You know, there's a handful of players who are even younger than them who you know, a lot of people in here wouldn't necessarily know, who I have the opportunity to watch closely day in and day out. And so, look, part of the responsibility is to make sure that you're helping these guys, you know, that you're helping these guys understand what it means to be a pro, understand what it means to, you know, represent the, you know, the club, understand, you know, how to continue pushing themselves forward as players. And so, you know, in all cases, that is not just for me, for any of our older experienced guys, that's that's part of the deal. And so that part will absolutely continue. And I think we're lucky in the group that we have, in terms of we have a really good mix of young, hungry players who are fighting every day to earn their way, to push the envelope, to show that they're ready to you know, ready to play. I think we have older experienced guys who, you know, are still you know, motivated and driven every day to compete, to win. And again, when that comes together, then that's when the environment every day is good, and that's when you have something unique, different.
Michael, Mike Leach, 680 News. Congratulations on the new deal. Bill alluded to a photo of you along with a number of other key figures in this club's history who are no longer here. What does it mean to you to be the last remaining cornerstone of this project that started, as one player called it, the worst team in the world, to now you're a club that contends every year?
It means a lot, you know, and that's what I that's what I mean when I talked before about the idea that, yeah, you run through different scenarios in your head, you assess different options, but in the end, the pull here is so strong, you know, on a personal level. You know, I'm so proud to, you know, have lived so many big days with this club, to have been a part of it, to, you know, when I look back to where we were, you know, when in 2014 when I arrived, to where we are now, and look, there are so many people who have been a part of it, and you know, so many people who have you know, again, poured their hearts and souls into the team and the club to get us where we are, and so that part is. Yeah, that part is special. You know, you identify with the team, with the colors, with the, you know, with the badge. You know, BMO Field is I've played more games here than any other stadium in my career. You know, I've lived some of the best moments of my career in that stadium. You know, that all counts for a lot.
Well, I'm here joined with Eric Giacometti. We just heard from President Bill Manning and the captain himself, Michael Bradley. He wanted to stay here, and you could just tell in his voice today that Toronto was the only place he wanted to go for 2020.
Yeah, it was so important for Michael to come back here, and he's really set down roots here since 2014 and made this club his home. And you can see how much it means to him to now continue on in this club, another 3-year deal for Michael Bradley, and just how much he's transformed this club from 2014, the amount of pride he takes in, and not only what the club has been able to do on the field, but the perception off the field as well, being consummate professionals, being in the mix every single year, and that all boils down to really his introduction to this team.
He has been such an integral part to this club. You heard it from Bill Manning himself. He played his 200th game in Seattle, and in those 200th games, he has only missed 6. That is absolutely incredible, and has played every minute in the playoffs. What do you think Michael Bradley will do? And as he said himself, this is all, his best is only yet to come, and he's going to look forward to do more and more and more. So what do you think he's going to bring over the next 3 years to Toronto FC?
Yeah, he really just brings that stability, right? When you talk about Michael Bradley, he's a guy that's there day in and day out, not only every game, but every training session, really setting the tone the rest of the club. And that consistency is so important, to know that on the biggest nights you have your best players on the field leading you out there day in and day out, and to have him back again for another 3 years, it means a lot for this club, especially for the younger players, to see what it takes to be a really high-level professional, and to have his leadership again into this team just means everything for this club.
As a leader, he really cares about what this club can do, and he's signed on target allocation money, which he's no longer a designated player. So do you think going into that, certain players would only want that designated player position, but he thought about Toronto FC as a whole and what Toronto FC can bring in now that he's signed under this amount of money? So what do you think Toronto FC is going to do going forward as well?
That's the definition of a captain, right? I mean, the absolute selfless act to put down your everything else aside and just say, I want to be here to help this club in any way possible. So that opens up a DP slot. Now TFC, Bill Manning, Ali Curtis can go out there and find another designated player. We'll get a second new DP in 2 years after Pozuelo comes in 2019. And now that opens up a lot of possibilities. You know, I think Ali was going to look to go out and get another attacking player, someone that could really help Josie Altidore in the attack and free things up. So with Michael Bradley now as a 10-level player, it means everything now for this team to get even better going into 2020.
Now, just to close off the press conference, Toronto FC ended in the MLS Cup this year. Obviously didn't get that result, but that team at the end of the season just looked like they could do so much more coming into 2020. So now that Michael Bradley has signed, what are we expecting from Toronto FC going into next year?
Well, look at what happened in 2016, right? They fall short against Seattle, and in 2017 they go on an incredible run, firing on all cylinders. So we'll look to see how they bounce back. And again, with someone like Michael at the helm, you're going to see him really pushing this team to get better and better and go that one step further. Maybe look for a little more consistency through the regular season. They had some ups and downs, so they'll be looking to kind of iron out those kinks. And with this core now together after a full year of getting used to each other, I think the best is yet to come for 2020.
Well, I know all of the fans, and especially you and I, are counting down for the season opener to happen. But keep it locked in on TorontoFC.ca for all of your team information coming up in the offseason. And thanks so much for joining us here for the press conference.